There are over 500,000 kids in foster care across the United States, and making sure they're well taken care of takes a village. I'm Erin Lindstrom, and this is Foster Care Aware, a production brought to you by Tidewater Friends of Foster Care with support from the Barry Robinson Center. If you've had it on your heart to become a foster parent, volunteer, donor, advocate, or just want to learn more, you're in the right place. For more information on how to move forward, head to fostercareaware.org/next steps. And now I'm thrilled to share today's segment with you. Hey, I am Erin Lindstrom, and I am joined with Audra Bullock, the President and Director of Tidewater Friends of Foster Care, and Cary Love, the Volunteer Coordinator for Norfolk CASA. Cary, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited. To start us off, let's talk about what is CASA.
Yeah, so CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. So our role at Norfolk CASA is to advocate for children who have been abused and neglected in the court system here in Norfolk. So we are really volunteer driven. There's only 3 of us staff members, and we have over 50 volunteers. And our volunteers are the ones who are going out there, they're visiting the children, whether they're in foster care or they may be still at home with biological parents or relatives. They're getting to know them, and they're also investigating the case and what's going on in their lives. So with all of that, we write reports to our judges based on what we think is in the best interest of the children so that they can make a more informed decision.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. So, I understand that CASAs are appointed by judges for foster care cases. How long are the typical cases, and what is the kind of daily involvement, weekly involvement of a CASA with children and their families?
Yeah, so I think on average our cases normally last around a year in the court system. Unfortunately, our court system can be slow sometimes, but it totally depends. Some of our cases can end up lasting only a few months and the child achieves permanency, but sometimes they can last even longer than a year. But as far as our CASAs go, our CASAs stay on the case until permanency is achieved, because we want to be that constant source of support for children who are facing so many changes in their lives. So our CASAs will visit with the children at least twice a month. And they'll visit them at their homes. They'll see how they're interacting with foster parents or parents. They might go to one of their sports games to cheer them on, and they might visit them at school and eat lunch with them and see how they're doing there.
That's very interesting. So what are the qualifications for a CASA?
Yeah, so actually we don't have any education or career requirements for CASAs. Anyone can become a CASA. Our only requirements are that you must be 21 years or older, you must have a valid driver's license and reliable transportation, and you must be able to pass extensive background checks. But we really have a diverse group of CASAs. We have teachers, we have social workers, but we have people who are completely uninvolved in this field too, who are just passionate about helping children.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very interesting, because in many states, CASAs are attorneys or guardian ad litems or vice versa. So can you tell us a little bit locally about the difference in a CASA and a guardian ad litem?
Definitely. So it sure does vary state to state, but here are court-appointed special advocates or volunteers, and they are separate from our guardian ad litems or GALs. So our guardian ad litems we actually work very closely with, and they are the child's attorneys, while our CASAs are not attorneys. But we do work closely together because we're both, at the end of the day, advocating for what is in the child's best interest.
Got it.
Very good. Very good.
Cary, can you tell us a little bit about the training program for CASAs or people who want to become CASAs?
Definitely. So we just ended our spring training, which is very exciting. We have 12 brand new CASAs.
Wow.
But our fall training starts on September 8th, which is not too far away. It runs for 5 weeks, and it's on Tuesday and Thursday nights from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And after that, you're sworn in by our chief judge, and we get ready to assign you a case. So our training is very interactive. We have a lot of group discussions, and we cover a lot of topics from the basics of what is child abuse, what does that look like, explaining what the court system looks like, but also covering topics like domestic violence and cultural competency, so that we can make sure that our CASAs have a really broad understanding of what child abuse looks like.
Mm. And are CASAs typically paired with one child, or will they have multiple children if their schedule allows for that?
So our CASAs typically only have one case each, unless in very special circumstances. And it kind of depends. We have cases where it's just one child, but then we also have sibling groups. And I think we've had a sibling group as large as 10 children. And in cases like that, we would maybe assign 2 CASAs to the case to split up that workload so that we can make sure each child is getting the attention he or she deserves.
So Cary, I've had a CASA on, I'm a foster parent, right? So I've had a CASA on one of my foster care cases or children, but not on another. Can you tell us how these get appointed, and do you do anything else besides foster care cases?
Definitely. So the judges appoint us the cases, and typically we get appointed to the most severe child abuse cases, or when there is a lot of confusion about what's going on. There might be a lot of service providers or relatives to contact. But other than visiting the children, we make sure that we investigate what's going on. So that means that we're calling service providers such as therapists, we're talking to teachers to see what's going on in the child's life, getting records such as medical records. And then we also are verifying the services that the parents are asked to do. So we definitely have a lot of cases where the children are in foster care. And then sometimes we also have cases where they're still with their biological family, they're with fictive kin, a relative. But either way, we are looking at what the parents are doing, whether that means they have substance abuse treatment, they might have therapy or medication management, because when our cases start, the goal is almost always that they reunify with their biological family. So we're checking in to see what progress the family members are making so that we can ensure it is a safe, permanent placement for the child, whether that is with their parents or the goal is changed to adoption or they end up with a relative.
Got it. So when people are applying to become CASAs and taking those first couple of steps, as far as the time commitment goes, this is obviously something that's less time than being a foster parent, but more time than, a volunteer that just drops in, because it is a long-term commitment. Can you speak to a little bit, like, what is the expectation that people should have around like weekly hours or monthly, or like, how does that work?
Definitely. So our volunteer commitment is definitely a little bit different. We do ask that our volunteers commit at least 18 months to being a CASA, because typically our cases are around that 1 year to 18-month mark, and we don't want to have to change CASAs in the middle of a child's case. And then as far as hours go, it also varies based on kind of what is going on in the case. But on average, I would say that our volunteers work around 10 to 12 hours per month. And it's also very flexible. So most of our CASAs work full-time or in school full-time, or somehow manage to do both. And they can really work on their own hours. So if evenings are best time for them to maybe send emails out or request records, or they're visiting the child on weekends, as long as they're coordinating with the family's schedule, it's really up to them when they conduct those visits and also do their investigation.
That's fantastic. So can you, without divulging any confidentiality, give us some success stories around CASA?
Yeah, definitely. So one of her CASAs has been with us for years. I don't even know how many years at this point. She's been so consistent. But she had a case with several children, and we're watching them slowly all achieve permanency. And she has really been there for them so much throughout this that they almost view her as family at this point. We had one child and an older girl, and she really relied on her CASA to keep showing up, and almost was able to trust her and be able to tell her things that maybe she wouldn't have if there wasn't that constant person in her life. We have another case where our CASA was on the case for years and kept showing up, and the child that she was advocating for at first really wouldn't open it up. It took years, and at one point the child just said, you really do keep following me and finding out, where I am and what's going on with my life and advocating for me. And she really began to open up and actually call and ask for her CASA at that point.
Oh,
that's amazing.
Fantastic.
So for people who are listening to this and thinking they want more information, or maybe to sign up for the next training, where should they go? What's that next step?
Yeah, so if they want to follow up, they can visit our website at www.norfolkcasa.com, and they can find out more information and also how to apply there.
Okay, perfect.
Fantastic.
And then just one other quick question for people who are outside of Norfolk, is CASA something that's nationwide?
So CASA is nationwide. I think it's in every state besides North Dakota.
Okay.
But here in Virginia, the different cities do have their CASA programs other than Hampton. So if there is someone interested in who's in Virginia Beach, there is Virginia Beach CASA. However, if they have some type of tie to Norfolk, whether they work here or they're just really invested in the Norfolk community, they can still reach out to us to apply.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Cary.
Thank you so much for having me.
Program.
I appreciate it.
And a big thank you for listening. Foster Care Aware is all about spreading the word about how we can help the kids who are in care in whatever capacity works for you. Tidewater Friends of Foster Care is here to help support you through the journey. Whether you want to be a foster parent, volunteer, donor, or advocate, head on over to fostercareaware.org/nextsteps to learn more.